in the Hare Krishna Temple in Brooklyn, New York.
I think when the Hare Krishna movement started, it was a little more culty. It was like either you're in there or you're out there. And the whole movement has developed now into more like a spiritual culture. There's people now that have jobs and live on the outside, and they don't all live like conventional Hare Krishnas. And this is our ashram. This is where the guys in the band live. Of course, it's a little crowded. And because we don't live like the typical simple monks, our room is also filled with like music gear and, you know, chords and stuff like that. Not very organized, so one drawer I just have my like devotional clothes and robes and stuff like that. Then this is like the pants drawer, and then there's the t-shirt drawer. For the first 5 years of my devotional life, I'd be in bed at 8:30 and awake at 2:30. Then, you know, cold showers, and then wake up, chant, study, go to the whole morning program, and have a really nice full-on spiritual program for like 6 hours, and then breakfast. And it was sweet. That was like actually the best time of my life, actually. There's our smelly studio here. You know, these things get pretty loud. But it's all right. The devotees can't really hear it because it's sort of far away. And we do a lot of the songwriting in here and a lot of the practicing in here. Some devotees think, oh, really cool, what are these guys? Some people think, this is crazy noise. Basically, I think people respect us because we try to be a little sincere with, you know, the principles of the philosophy. My guru, for example, he's been to shows, shelter shows. He thinks it's great.
As well as being Ray's spiritual mentor, his Swami is an unexpectedly enthusiastic fan of shelter.
It was actually very amazing that they were giving a pure spiritual message, and that the young people were so receptive, even though you wouldn't expect from that culture to have such a high spiritual message.
Many shelter fans lead non-smoking, non-drinking, vegetarian lives, and Ray admires their quest for spirituality. In the bingo hall adjoining the temple, standards aren't so high.
Just like the lowest breed of human comes in here to play bingo, gamble, and eat, you know, chicken wings. They would always ruin our practice because they're always complaining, banging on the wall, and we're always like blaring and driving them crazy, so it's not the best arrangement. It's amazing how few people are into spiritual life and how much they're into bingo, but they're really into it. Men live on the top floor, women live on the floor below it, but the temple is basically also filled with people who are actually more priestly types, live a more renounced life, taking vows of renunciation, or they become monks, like that. Here we have 3 monks, Orlando, Sharbihari, and Alec, all great souls, as you can see, practicing spiritual life for a long time. Onward, let's go, go to the roof. This neighborhood actually stinks. Unfortunately, I think it was the worst real estate move of their life when the Hare Krishnas bought the Brooklyn Temple. And you'll see everything from Hare Krishnas to homeboys, to black Muslims, to you know, Spanish. This neighborhood, this building in the back there, this is a insane asylum, but just sane enough so that they let them out and bother everybody. So yeah, it's not the best place to practice spiritual life, but the potency of Krishna consciousness is even if you live next door to an insane asylum and a parking garage, you can still somehow transcend.
Back at the temple, we rejoin our diarist Ray and the hardcore Krishnas for the Sunday feast.
Every Sunday they have an open house. You get everything from Spanish to Russians to blacks and whites and kids from the punk scene, you know, educated scholars. It's a real mixed bag, but it's actually nice because they all have spirituality as their focus. I lived in a temple for 7 years, and only in the last like year and a half I decided that I'm gonna not live like a monk, so to speak, and get married. And come on, guys. This is Sri Keshava, and she's my girlfriend slash fiance. We met in India. She's from Australia and I'm from New York. Now we're like soulmates.
That's so cheesy.
Someday she'll be my bride.
And I really can wear a white dress, not with a black hem. We're definitely affectionate and tactile, you know, but there's no, you know, sexual exploitation.
But I hug her. kiss her sometimes.
Not in public. No, I mean, we're affectionate, but we don't.
I don't do it.
Do it. Sex will be there if we choose to actually have children and stuff. I'd like to get married up in the Himalayas, like with just one Brahmin there, and then come back and maybe do a whole fake kind of press shabu shaba, but I actually want it to be a really nice, peaceful sort of spiritual experience, you know?
I want to get a turban and come in on a horse.
We actually disagree a lot on that.
When you have one controller and then another controller,
I am not a
two
controller.
controllers
So
clash
submissive
sometimes.
to him. He's the most demanding person I've ever, besides my father. And I made the mistake as I was growing up. I was like, I want to marry someone like my father.
Well, you got him.
I know.
Tell this to everybody wherever they are.
We're transcendental workaholics.
It's actually true.
I grew up lusting after, being a horny high school jock, just like every other kid in America. And it's sad.
Yeah, I got a good slate. He's got a really bad one.
I find a lot of the girls that come up to me after the shows, they look at me as like some moral figure, a father or something like that. And of course, I'm an embodied man. Of course I'm thinking, attractive young flesh. But the fact is, in my mind, I think, what am I going to be, a pig and try to score with this girl? And this is stupid. You have a whole society that's basically neurotic because they're so, horny. And I hate the fact that it's cheapened, that you can just pull up to 10th Avenue and just get, a hooker to, get in your car for $10.
Yeah.
And the hooker's not even a woman. A lot of times it's a man in high heels.
With a European tour just 2 weeks away, it's time for Ray and his fellow straight edgers to polish up their act.
It was weird because I knew I loved music since I was a child, but I never could embrace rock and roll. So finally I got a Sex Pistols record. My life was over. So, he's like rock solid. The English bloke, very simple, very honest, good spirit. Frankly, great on stage, great musician.
Started playing and just conked out, so I don't know what happened.
This is not a shitty rig. I mean, it had a brand new speaker put in it.
Played it for like 2.5 minutes. Just like conked
The guy
out.
told me when he was in here, he asked you to turn it down.
Wait, he never said that.
He did. He told me he asked you to turn it down.
Never asked
There's no
me to
reason
turn
for
it
an
down.
amp to blow up. I play with fucking loud-ass bands, and
They never asked me to turn it
you're
down
mismatched or something.
You had millions of bands in here play, and it blows once in a while.
Never came in here, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, now what are we supposed to do? I mean, we're renting
Well,
a studio
I mean-
with rented amps. You know what I mean?
Well, think of my situation. You come in and like 2 minutes later, you blow a speaker that's brand new. You know?
You said it's not brand new. You said a million bands
No.
just play them.
I got the same head, so
Really
I know how to
noisy.
use it. I never had problems.
Garbage. Just bring in another... Maybe he doesn't like the Voties. Because I know the guy, and he's generally nice.
He's
So he's friendly. He doesn't know this guy's got a secret on his head.
so
Beats.
people are pumped.
They can smell it. They can smell the incense. This should have been an 8 ohms.
Yeah.
Not in a 4, and that's what blew it out.
Unless I know the person just put a new speaker in there yesterday,
so-
so
yeah,
either
that's-
they hooked it up wrong or they knew what they were doing.
Now, whoever plugged the speakers in screwed it up.
She uses lumberson, and sure she uses some small enough. And they're both hoping for the best. I also have a dream you're thinking of. This place of blindfold on a rise. Iron and gold appear the same. It's intense hope that makes us try. So we go on and play the game. And once again we get it, 'cause we think we found the answer. Here we go again. Ain't so many walls, but I know I can get answer. Here we go again. Love not wisely, he love not wisely, fight the well. Yes, iron and gold up in the same.
After you get rid of all those prejudices, you see that actually, what are these people actually trying to do? They want to develop their character, they want to develop qualities of compassion, of concern, of humility. Those are nice things. Every mother would be into those things. I don't think she's that proud of me that I'm a Hare Krishna. Unfortunately, what can we do? Moms are moms.
You like it?
Yeah, it's good. It looks crazy. I love the ending because it makes no sense at all.
We rejoin our diarist Ray in New York for Shelter's last gig before they tour the UK, and the city's straight-edge youth are out in force.
Straight edge is drug-free. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't have casual sex. And sometimes, not always, it's like you could be vegan or vegetarian and also sometimes Krishna, but that doesn't have to be. That's just like new school kind of things.
I don't know if it's Shelter's message, but the Hare Krishna philosophy is admirable in many ways, in many respects.
I think it's kind of hard to push a religion that isn't a pushy religion.
The message, it's positive. It's good, you know.
They got a lot of meaning. They say a lot of stuff that makes sense. Their music is very powerful.
Without feeling, without passion.
If there's a mosh and a sing-along, the kids will show up.
I think the show's gonna rock, dude.
I've heard people say Hare Krishna shouldn't be in the hardcore scene. That's like a horrible thing. Who's to say who should be in the hardcore scene? I've been in the hardcore scene longer than most people. I say I should be in the hardcore scene. If it wasn't for some kids in the music scene that really dug Krishna and thought it was cool, and I would be like, oh, who are these freaks? What did I think of the actual Hare Krishna movement when I was young? I thought they were nuts. You know why? Because we tend to be very closed-minded in our culture, even though we think we're really liberal and really broad-minded. It's not a fact.
This song is about truthfulness, an important thing that people don't think is so important anymore. It's called The Message of the Bhagavad.
That's what I like to think my music is. It's a way of communication with people, just like the sages did it thousands of years ago, sitting in the forest on a kusha mat and reading off Sanskrit codes off palm leaves. I think it's the same type of thing, but a modern way of doing it. What do I think of the crowd when I see their faces? I think they're like angels with their wings nailed to the ground. In one sense, I'm a leader. Leaders aren't necessarily evil either. If a leader is leading people to something evil, then it is evil. But if you're leading a person to something spiritual, then it's a good thing. I'll tell you what I don't like the most. I hate loud music. That ruins your eardrums. Leading a person to something spiritual, and it's a good thing. For thousands of years, there's been people who have spoken this type of message. Great saintly persons, and maybe somehow now this Ray Cappo guy is doing it too, and I'm following in their footsteps in a different way. My personal mission is to smash the whole idea of cult and cult members and freaky guys who live in airports and all they know is how to peddle flowers. It's not a cult, it's actually a culture.
The Message of the Bhagavad. Next week on Passengers.